Education Secretary and a Fox News contributor. Bill, great to have you here today. I imagine you have a lot of thoughts on this, but perhaps you could just spell it out for our audience. What do you see is at stake here, with schools now willing to scrap merit awards, merit scholarships for the sake of equity?
Well, what a great, refreshing, and candid guest there.
Yeah.
And a lot of light here. You know, Justice Brandeis said sunlight is the best disinfectant, and thanks to Fox and these parents, we're getting sunlight on this problem. What I see underlying this is maybe even more important, a loss of trust in what the schools are doing. You have to believe when you send your children there that you can trust the adults there in that place to do the job that they are assigned to do. And that breakdown of trust can be totally destructive. That's why people might pull their children out of school temporarily or not, as John was just saying. And then you have this kind of nonsense in Michigan where this person says all this stuff about whiteness, and people say, well, why should my child be in a school like that? But it's a very good thing that these parents are engaged and involved. We know they're engaged and involved in these 3 counties outside of Washington. We think they are in many other places. COVID opened the door. It let in the light. A lot of parents saw what was going on and are now taking action. They don't want to be in the dark, as your last guest said, and they shouldn't be in the dark, and the teachers should turn the light on for them.
You know, Bill, as our last guest said, you know, the schools have been saying, oh, this is human error. Shauna Yasher said, one school is an error, 17 is beginning to look like a pattern. Here's what Governor Glenn Youngkin told us on our program yesterday he thinks this is all about. Listen here.
Let's just remind ourselves that we do have a superintendent of schools in Fairfax County who claimed that equal outcomes for all students at any cost was her top priority. They've hired in equity consultants in order to drive this mentality, and it is not just not consistent with Virginia values, it's inconsistent with American values.
So let's just take that philosophy, equal outcomes at any cost. You are never going to have equal outcomes. You may be able to level the playing field so that everybody has an opportunity, but some kids are going to flourish and others are going to fail. The outcomes can never be equal, Bill.
Yeah, and the lead-in, the voiceover said they want equal regard for students. Equal regard for students is proper. Equal evaluation of students is not. Anybody who's had children knows that you love them all equally. You also know they have different gifts and abilities, and you can evaluate them on that basis. So no, this was a cover-up. This was denial, and now it's coming to light. Look, my worry, John, is that a lot of people, more people than are necessary, are going to leave the public school system. Now, we educated our kids in Catholic schools. That's our faith. That's what we believe. That's what we wanted to do. But remember, 70%, 80% of the American people are going to be educated in these public schools. No matter what individual choice you make, we need to pay attention to what's going on. And that means a restoration of trust and back to the standards and the beliefs for which the schools are instituted. And you're right about TJ. It's a great high school, and they should not be diluting it.
Do you trust, Bill, knowing what you know about the school and education system in this country, that this Attorney General can really get to the bottom of this? I mean, Glenn Youngkin said on our program yesterday, the governor of Virginia, he said this should be illegal.
Oh, which Attorney General are you talking about? Attorney General of Virginia. Yeah, I trust him rather than the Attorney General of the United States, who was talking about arresting some of these parents, if I'm not exaggerating. Look, you don't think this is a potent issue? Glenn Youngkin was elected largely on the basis of this issue. And he's got a great team, by the way, his Secretary of Education and others. But this is a very powerful issue. But we cannot lose this system. And so we have to fight for it. And I'm so glad to see these parents fighting for it. Yeah, I do trust the Attorney General to look into it. Knowing that the Attorney General of Virginia is looking into it, I think these people are going to straighten up their act. But who watches them in the future?
Yeah,
this is the restoration of trust and proper authority.
This whole idea of equal outcomes,
ahead.
Bill,
Sorry.
that would be like saying a college saying we want to make sure that every NCAA basketball player makes it to the NBA. It's just not going to happen. But the bigger question is,
or to be more candid, John, more white players in the NBA, please, because we don't have enough white players. Baloney. You pick the players on the basis of their abilities, on whatever their color.
So the point that I was trying to get to here, Bill, if you would, is this started with one school. Now it's 17. But is it broader than that? Michelle Reed, the superintendent of Fairfax County Public Schools, was asked that question. Listen to how she responded.
Nationwide, how many high schools this happened to?
I do not have any idea nationwide. I do know anecdotally there are a number of other locations. I don't believe anyone's at this time raising their hand to draw any attention to that. We here in Fairfax County at the moment are sort of carrying that water.
So she suggested it's not just Virginia, it's just Virginia that got caught.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's not just Virginia. Well, and you saw Michigan, what was going on there, and it's elsewhere. But I can tell you, as the former Secretary of Education of the United States, nobody knows what's going on in all the schools in America. Only the people close to those schools know what's going on, thus the importance of these parents being engaged.
Not to mention, Bill, that parent we just spoke with, a parent in that school system had no idea. These parents weren't told that an equity coach was hired for $450,000 for just 9 months of work.
Exactly. No, it's outrageous. And what is an equity coach there for? It's to dispel the standards, to get rid of the standards. No, at least, these issues are coming to light now so they can be addressed. But, you got to ask these questions of school. We asked our questions of our schools. Sometimes the schools called us because they had questions about our guys. But so be it. Let the conversation take place. But let it be marked by candor, intelligence, and goodwill, and not deception, not cover-up.
All right, Bill Bennett, thank you for joining us on that. We really appreciate it.
Bill, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's a big deal.